Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hi-Fi in the Low Light. I am M. Shanae, and today we're going to be talking about the winner of my 8 headphone comparison. If you guys didn't get a chance to see my last video, please go watch it, as I am doing a giveaway in honor of reaching over 100 subscribers. Now, what this video is about is the winner of that comparison, as well as me announcing which headphone I will be giving away, because I told you guys that I would be giving you the best headphone for under $100. That was the prize for the giveaway. That said, before I talk about the headphones themselves, I want to talk a little bit about why I did this comparison and how I did the comparison. For me, I started out listening to a pair of headphones off of an iPod Nano. That was my first ever setup. Cell phones weren't really the go-to source for music. We still kept it on something separate. So many of you will likely listen in one of two ways, either with your cell phone or with a very basic entry-level digital audio player, such as what an iPod was for me. That said, a lot of you are also probably going to be looking at headphones around the $100 mark. My very first pair of headphones was a Sony XB700 that cost me $80. That was my key. I wanted the best headphone for drum and bass, and I wanted it to cost under $100. Now, I will be listening to these 8 headphones with tracks from Spotify. I made a playlist of 3, and I'll be listening from my Sennheiser M2S and my LG V20, because I feel this is what those of you who don't have anything, this is where you will start. The point of this video is to find out what headphone is the best, specifically for those of you who have not bought a headphone, or those of you who do not have any kind of audiophile products. So again, I want to find the best headphone for $100 that works with either your cell phone or with a simple digital audio player. Now, the headphones that we're going to be talking about are the Audio-Technica M40X, the Sennheiser HD280, the Biodynamic DT240 Pro, the Sony MDR 7506, the KRK NS6400, the DD Audio DXB04, Massdrop's EMU Purple Heart, as well as the Biodynamic Custom Street. Now, the metrics that I'm going to be comparing these headphones on is not just the sound quality, but how much I enjoyed listening to them, as well as the build quality and the overall function. So let's get things started with the HD280 Pro. Now, the Sennheiser HD280 Pro is a punchy headphone with great isolation. What I don't like about it is the big, thick, heavy coiled cable, as well as the fact that the sound is a little bit withdrawn. Sometimes vocals or a singer's voice are a little bit distant. Now, this is with my cell phone. When I plugged the HD280 Pro into my Sennheiser M2S, I noticed that the vocals were a little bit more forward and the sound was a little bit fuller. Now, as for the build quality, it is quite robust. There's a good bit of spring in the headband, the cups don't clamp too much, and the pads are full, and it is quite comfortable, but it looks kind of funny. Next, it's the Sony MDR 706. Now, this is a classic. This headphone dates back to the 80s. This is a headphone that has a very linear, a very neutral and flat frequency response. So this is a headphone that can sometimes be a little bit sterile and a little bit kind of boring, too technical, and the mid-range is sometimes a little bit too dry. Now, I will say it did have the best bass response of any headphone that I tested at this price point, proving to be the deepest, the most textured, and with the best sense of power. Even better, this headphone didn't scale. It sounded just as good with my LG V20 as it did with my Sennheiser M2S. Now, the drawback of it is, again, it can be boring sounding for some of you, and a long, thick, coiled cable, which I'm not a fan of. Now, the next headphone we're going to talk about is the DD Audio DXB04. This is a wood headphone that does have a removable cable, and that cable does have a microphone. Now, the build quality on this could be better. It's very It's very creaky, it does make a lot of noise. Now the wood cups are beautiful and it is comfortable. As for the sound, this is by far the most energetic, the most dynamic headphone that I have heard in this price point to date. This is definitely a headphone that brings excitement above all else, always. It's kind of shouty. Now the detail is good, the resolve is good, and the bass is quite full. Again, the mid-range is super tactile, and the high end is quite dark, but still very energetic. The drawback to this headphone is that sound signature is polarizing. Some of you are going to love all of that energy and excitement. Some of you are not going to like it one bit. But overall, it is a good headphone. And like the MDR V6, it doesn't scale. It sounds equally as good with my LG V20 as it does with my Sennheiser M2S. So again, if you like an energetic, exciting sound and you want a nice touch of that warmth from the wood cups, this is a great option. The next headphone I want to talk about is the Biodynamic DT240 Pro. This one has a removable cable but also has the best build quality. These are stainless steel and these are solid. Those gimbals, those adjustment mechanisms, the sliders are rock solid. The build quality is again phenomenal. The cable is coiled, but it is removable and it is very manageable. This has got to be the best coiled cable that I have come across to date, which is nice because I typically like a coiled cable because of the fact that it extends and retracts, but when you're on the go, it is kind of cumbersome. As for the sound, these are very lush. They have a touch of intimacy, but overall the detail is good. The three drawbacks that they have is, number one, they do scale and they require a dedicated digital audio player. These were very hard to drive from just my cell phone. They got just loud enough and I had no headroom. The other drawback of these are, these cups are small. There's not a whole lot of space in there. So this will fit some of your ears, it will fit over the ear. For some of you, it will be on ear. So that can be, again, hit or miss in terms of both the sound quality and the comfort. And finally, the bass on this is just a bit loose. Again, with my LG V20, that problem was exacerbated. When I moved into the Sennheiser M2S, it scaled. The bass was still loose, lacking a little bit of texture and definition, but it was improved. So again, this is a lush headphone that sounds best with a dedicated audio player, something with a robust amp section like an iPod or the Sennheiser M2S. The next headphone I want to talk about is the KRK NS6400. This too has a removable cable, which I think really is a must this day and age. As for the build quality, it's average. It does nothing wrong, it does nothing great. It is sufficient. Now the sound quality is phenomenal. The sound quality is phenomenal, but there is one glaring fault. There is one just unforgivable sin that this headphone commits, and that is the bass. From 100 Hz and down, it is significantly rolled off. So from 100 Hz and up, it is the very best in this category. But under 100 Hz, it is a bit lackluster. So it is amazing, it is absolutely amazing with acoustic music, but it is not sufficient. It is not optimized, it is not fit for every genre of modern music. So again, it's going to be hit or miss depending on the music that you like. The Biodynamic Custom Street is our next headphone. This little guy is an on-ear. It features a unique slider mechanism that will let you switch from no bass, some bass, lots of bass. I kept it on the middle setting, and I found these to be by far the funnest headphone of the bunch. The bass was deep, it rumbled the cups, it shook the sides of your face. This was a fun headphone to listen to. The resolve wasn't amazing. The resolve was just, it was sufficient. The imaging was sufficient. Everything was sufficient. These headphones were just about fun. They were fun and easy to listen to, and they also did not scale. They sounded good regardless of your source. We've been through 6 headphones. The last 2 are the best. So now some of you guys are probably going to figure out which headphone is going to be the winner. Some of you might already have an idea. The winner is the last headphone standing. Now this is not the headphone I'm giving away. This is the one that I am keeping. This is the Mastrop EMU Purple Heart. Of everything that I listened to, this headphone had the very best quality of sound. It had the deep, powerful, textured bass of the MDR V6. It had a little bit of the lushness that I like from the DT240. It had that resolve, that amazing detail of the KRK NS6400, and it had a nice extended top end. This was by far the most balanced and the best performing headphone in terms of sound quality. Now, why am I keeping it? Why am I not giving it away? Well, this is not the best headphone overall. While the sound quality is the best, the build quality is not. This little guy's kind of fragile. These yokes are very thin, and they don't really inspire confidence on me, and just overall it's very light and kind of creaky, kind of plasticky. This is a headphone that I think sounds phenomenal, but is not maybe the best for your first headphone. Again, going back to my first headphone, I actually destroyed 4 pairs. Every month my little Sony on-ears would break, so I saved up to buy something nicer, and those headphones took a beating. This is not a headphone that you can be rough with. Now, if you're more careful with your electronics, then by all means, get it, grab it, and love it. Though, beware that the cable does not come detached. So finally, we have the winner of this comparison. This was the best headphone overall. This was the headphone that came in the biggest box, that had the most goodies. This is the headphone that sounded the best with the most of my equipment. This is the headphone that sounded equally well with my LG V20 and with my Shanling M2S. We're talking about the ATH M40X. This is a headphone that had deep, powerful bass. It was a little bit thicker, so it had a lot of impact, a good bit of slam, great for EDM. This is a headphone that again had a nice lushness in the mids and good extension on the top. Now, it is not as detailed or resolving as the KRK NS6400. It does not have the sub-bass texture and power of the MDR V6. It is not quite as lush as either the DT240 or the EMU Purple Heart. This was the headphone that really sat above average in every metric and build quality by far. So this is the headphone that I am giving away because I think it is the best overall. If you have not purchased a headphone before, if you've never bought an audiophile headphone, this is where I would start. The cable is single entry, it is detachable, which is super convenient for those of you who aren't used to carrying a headphone with a longer cable. It also means that you can try different kinds of cables. What's also cool is the ear pads are changeable, which means for your first headphone you can experiment with pad rolling. And again, it is rugged, it is tough, and it's even compact. Folds right up. So again, guys, please remember to like and subscribe to this video as well as the previous one. I am looking for 1,000 total views between both, and that is what is going to qualify one of you to win this headphone. So make sure that you like and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you comment in the comment section. Please leave me either your Twitter or Instagram handle so that I can reach out to you personally when I have selected the winner. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Have an excellent night. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to hearing how much that you're going to enjoy your new headphone.